Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my guide, where I'm going to be suggesting a team at every single star level for you to enjoy your final FIFA 21 save with. Now we're going to be starting at 2.5 stars and making it all the way up to the best teams in the game at 5 stars in this list. So let's get started straight away, where we'll be going to Holland, where I recommend your 2.5 star team you should pick FC Twente. Now, they won the league in 2010 using Steve McLaren as their manager, but their team is really young on FIFA 21. They have a huge amount of potential, and of course, the Eredivisie is really good on the game. It's quite fun. You've always got Ajax, and they do somehow always end up producing really good talents, even in FIFA. You've also got PSV and Feyenoord, who both are very similar, high potential teams. Not quite as good as Ajax, but better than you. So you do have quite a hard challenge there to overtake these three teams to become the king of Holland. Now, one nationality you'll see quite a lot when you're playing in Holland is Danish, and that's where we're going for the honourable mention for a 2.5 star team. It's going to be Brøndby in Denmark. They won their league last year, so not in 2010 like for FC Twente. These are off the back of recent success, but their team has even more potential than FC Twente. You're also rivals with the best team in the nation with Copenhagen, so you do have really big challenge to become the best team, overtaking your rivals, and of course you have to try and keep as much talent that already exists in your team at the start of the game as you can throughout the entire save. Brøndby will be a pretty tough and pretty fun challenge, so I highly recommend you try out FC Twente or Brøndby if you want a 2.5 star team. But moving up to 3 stars, and we're getting to pretty good teams now at this point. So I've got 2 more here: Atlanta United from the United States and FC Nuremberg in Germany. These are very different teams. They're almost a mirror of each other. Atlanta are recently successful, recently founded, and are currently on the rise, whereas FC Nuremberg, despite having the 5th most trophies in German history and being former Bundesliga regulars, the Old Masters, as they're nicknamed, haven't been in the Bundesliga for quite some time and haven't been successful for even longer. It's up to you if you'd rather have the huge crowds of Atlanta in their real stadium, or if you'd love to have the history and try and repeat it with FC Nuremberg in Germany. Definitely worth a try, depending on what you prefer. Now, with the MLS, of course, you have to follow some different, unusual rules, so that's going to add to the challenge. Don't think you're just going to be able to sign Ronaldo and Messi in Season 1 with Atlanta. Not if you want to play it realistically. You should follow the guide by clicking on the card in the top right now. Whereas with FC Nuremberg, the second Bundesliga guide, I haven't actually made that on the channel yet, but it's coming out very soon, so keep an eye out for that if you do decide to play as FC Nuremberg. Moving up to 3.5 stars, and we're not travelling very far for our first option. It's going to be Charleroi in Belgium. So we're going from Germany to Belgium, and unlike the other 2 teams, Charleroi actually don't have any success. They've never won the league. They came runner-up around 30 years ago, but this year they've got a really good team and pretty good chance of doing it. The goal is to win the league and get into Europe. But Charleroi actually only have a £5.9 million budget, and they do have 6 teams in the league that have better squads than them. Standard Liège and Anderlecht are the 2 most famous, but you've also got Genk, Ghent, Club Brugge and Royal Antwerp, who are all better in terms of squad than Charleroi. So you're really going to have to use that limited budget and existing good players with high potential to overtake these 6 teams and become the champion of Belgium. Another team that's going to need to overcome its rivals is Besiktas from Turkey. This is my other honourable mention for 3.5 star teams. They do have a very good team, although it is quite old in quite a lot of key positions. They do have good potential, particularly in goal and defence, so keep an eye out for that because you're going to have to rebuild using these existing youth players. It's quite embarrassing for Besiktas that they have fallen behind Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, their 2 big rivals from Istanbul, so that's the goal, is to overtake them and become the best team in Turkey. You're going to have to rebuild while you're doing this, so it is going to be quite a tough challenge, especially with a small budget compared to their rivals. One good thing you have is the flexibility to sign pretty much whoever you want, because at the minute that's what Turkey's doing. You've got quite a lot of high profile players coming into the league, Mesut Ozil being the biggest example recently, so you can have a bit of flexibility to sign whoever you want. Moving to 4-star teams, and we're heading to one of the biggest names on this entire list so far, Aston Villa, the 4-star team from the Premier League. Now in FIFA 22 they'll probably be 4.5 stars to be honest, because they have strengthened particularly up front, and I think their defence will get higher ratings next year, but for the time being they are still a 4-star team. Now, Aston Villa had a lot of success in the 80s, and they were getting back up to the top of the league around a decade ago until they did pretty much run out of money and ended up relegated into the Championship. They've recently sold Jack Grealish, of course, for £100 million, and they've rebuilt with Buendia, Leon Bailey, and Danny Ings up front. So it's really up to you to see if you can probably try and do this better. Maybe move Grealish to Man City, give yourself an £100 million transfer takeover, and then see who you can strengthen with, and see if you can do better than they do in real life. That's why I think they would be such a fun final career, because it's the last chance you'll be able to do this, where you can just get rid of one player, give yourself the transfer boost, and then try and replace him. Well, you can't really do that on FIFA 22 because you'll already have the players and you'll have to either try and sell them or move them back to their former clubs, and it just gets a little bit unrealistic. So now is your chance to do this. Move Grealish, give yourself a transfer takeover, and see if you can outperform real life. Another big name and the honourable mention at 4 stars is AS Monaco. Now, in real life, you would expect them to be one of the better teams in the French league, and that usually is the case. But last year, with Lille winning the league, Monaco found themselves just 5 points off winning it themselves. So your goal is to try and find that 5 point improvement to take them from 3rd place to 1st. Now, of course, Monaco did win the league in 2017, and they have been known to splash the cash pretty heavily with James Rodriguez, Falcao, Ben Yedder, Gelson Martinez, Golovin, Keita Balde, Moutinho, Telemans, Pellegrini, and Kondogbia, all costing over £20 million in the last 5 seasons. So if you do like the Galactico playstyle, they're definitely the team for you in League One. Staying close to Central Europe, our 4.5 star recommended team is Dortmund. Now, of course, you know Dortmund, everyone enjoys using them. They've got the real stadium, the cool fans, Erling Haaland up front, Royce on the wing, used to have Sancho, and depending on what update you've got, they probably still do. So, yeah, they are just a fun team. They're popular for a reason. They've got cool kits, cool stadium, good fans, and interesting players. So maybe your goal will be to try and overtake Bayern Munich. Now, a cool way to do this would be to try and recreate Jurgen Klopp or Thomas Tuchel's tactics, where you have high press, quick transition, and just attacking gameplay. Something that I think is actually really fun to do in FIFA. So maybe give that a go if you do try and take over Dortmund. My honourable recommendation for a 4.5 star team that I recommend you give a go is Athletic Bilbao. Now, I've done a whole video on them. Check the card in the top right hand corner if you want to watch it, where I explain what the Basque policy is, how to use it, and why it's actually very fun to do so. Because you're mainly going to be using Youth Academy, signing players from one of your rivals, so someone like Sociedad for example, and you have to try and keep very strict rules on who is in your team. It also means you have a reason to reject those ridiculous transfer offers that the AI can offer you sometimes, because if you can't actually improve, there's no point you selling the player. If you've got a 90 rated player that the AI's bid £200 million from, and the next best Basque striker is an 81, even if you had that £200 million, there's nothing you can do with that on FIFA, so you just reject the offer. I think that's a really cool way to play the game, so do check out the video by clicking the card at the top right now. For the 5-star teams, I'm not actually going to recommend any specific club. Of course, you've got Real Madrid and PSG, who are both trying to recreate the Galacticos of the early 2000s, where you've got, of course, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar up front. That's going to be fun to play with. But Real Madrid equally could go and splash the cash on Mbappe by the time that this video comes out. So I can't really recommend any 5-star teams at the minute. Of course, Manchester United will probably be a 5-star team next year. Real Madrid will be. Barcelona possibly could be, depending on who stays and who goes. You'll see Man City and Liverpool both probably also 5-star teams. So you do have quite a big selection in almost every league. I think every big European league has a 5-star team in it. So you've got Italy, France, Spain, Germany and England all with 5-star teams in it. So you can't really complain. You've got your choice on who to sign, and I'll let you pick your 5-star team based on kit and existing players. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have got any suggestions for players or teams you'd recommend, please do leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you say, and it will help everyone out who watches this video. So thank you all for watching, I'll see you very soon, and goodbye for now, cheers.